Jordan.
Can I welcome everyone, thank you to the council chambers, council members, news public, and obviously we've got the live stream on now, so if we can move into the first agenda item, which is the cancel by Ian White.
Kia mā tinakina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tā. Ia ki ana te atukara, ai tio, e huka, e hauhu, a tihe mai ora.
Move to apologies. Have we had any apologies for today?
Hearing management system.
All right. So he'll be able to come. It's not like it's coming through, so we'll see him arrive. Then we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the address to you all. So, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Distinguished guests, mayor and councillors-elect, staff and members of the community. It is an honour to have the opportunity to address you as the Chief Executive at the inaugural meeting of the New Western District Council, and to welcome you all to the start of a new training year. A term that holds real promise, real responsibility, and real momentum for transformational change. To our newly elected councillors, congratulations and welcome. To our returning members, thank you for your continued service. You bring perspectives, strengths, and community connections that will be essential to navigating the challenges and opportunities ahead. Today is about setting the tone, setting the focus, and setting us all up for success. Over the last 6 months, we have been laying important groundwork across the council organisation, work that I have called setting up for success. This is more than a catchphrase. It is a commitment to doing things better. Better service delivery to our communities, better planning and infrastructure investment, better internal systems and support for our people. And most of all, better alignment between what this council wants to achieve and what we can do. We know we are not there yet, but we have a clear roadmap and we are building the capability, culture and ambition needed to support long-term success. This is not just an organisational journey. It is a partnership between governance and management. You set the direction, we make it happen. And we are absolutely committed to supporting you to do that with professionalism, transparency and care. As we begin the new term, I'd like to outline the key strategic and operational challenges I believe will shape our work together over the next 3 years. These are complex, interconnected and not unique to Westland, but they will define how we prioritise, allocate resources and deliver for our people. Financial stewardship and rates affordability. We all understand the pressures on household budgets, and we know that every dollar of the rates must deliver real value to the community. At the same time, we face unavoidable cost pressures, inflation, compliance, insurance, and the cost of managing maintenance. Our long-term plan, 2025 to 2034, will be one of the most important pieces of work this council delivers. We will continue to be asking as we refresh the plan, what can we afford to maintain? What can we invest in now to avoid higher costs later? And how do we meaningfully engage to ensure fairness across communities, generations and needs? We will bring you honest and clear advice and work alongside you and our communities to make the tough decisions. Our infrastructure is under pressure. Our core infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems, is ageing, exposed, and in some cases reaching the end of limits of its life. On top of that, we are seeing the effects of more frequent storm events, as we can see today, flooding and erosion, placing significant strain on our already stretched capital program and asset management capacity. We must continue to improve how we plan, fund and deliver infrastructure, not just fix what's broken, but to build for the future. This means strengthening our long-term asset management planning, prioritising investment where the need and the risk are greatest across the entire region, seeking central government support whenever and wherever that is possible. Local water's done well. Has been a journey for us. It's a fundamental challenge remains that we must meet rising water compliance standards with limited resources. For Westland, the question is not if we improve water services, but how we do so sustainably. Over this term, we will be finalising our water services plan in collaboration with the Greymouth and Buller District Councils and establishing a coast-wide CCO. We'll be prioritising high-risk assets for upgrade or renewal, and we'll be advocating for regional solutions where appropriate, and maintaining a local voice in the process. The next phase of transformation for us as a council. Our Setting Up for Success program has already seen us reorganise internal teams for better accountability and delivery, improve our financial systems and controls, and bring the cultural change needed to be a fit for purpose responsive council. But transformation is not just a project with an end date, it is a mindset. Over the next 3 years, we will focus on embedding a customer-focused service culture, building and supporting our people to deliver efficient and effective solutions for the region, strengthening governance information so elected members can make confident and well-informed decisions. This is how we will turn intent into impact. Last and most importantly, we must continue to rebuild and strengthen trust with our communities. That means being responsive, communicating clearly, openly, and often, listening deeply, even when the feedback is uncomfortable. As the Chief Executive, I take that responsibility seriously. Our team is here to serve, and we are building a culture that reflects in every interaction, every decision, and every project. So while the path ahead is challenging, there's also full of opportunity. We are not starting from scratch, we are building on the momentum we've already begun. Setting Up for Success is not just about internal improvement, it's about delivering better outcomes for people who live, work and thrive in Westland. Our job collectively is not only to be fit for purpose, but fit for the future. I look forward to working with each of you to make it happen with integrity, collaboration and a relentless focus on what matters most, serving the people of Westland. Thank you. Please. And we'll now move into the next agenda item, which is making and attesting to the declaration of the Mayor and Councillors. This report is our obligation to meet our statutory requirement to attest to the declarations that councillors and the Mayor will be making tonight. It provides us with the opportunity to formalise the attesting, and you will see through the paper that there is an option, two options. One is to receive the report of making an attesting declaration of Mayor members. Option 2 is not to receive the report to make an attesting declaration of members. I believe that you will all see your declaration, and we will go into that process following the adoption of this report. There is no adoption and provides me with an option. So the recommendation is that the report be received and that the Mayor and elected members covered the declaration. I need a mover and a seconder. Please so move. And do I have a seconder, please? And Councillor Kelly is happy to second. Thank you. And we can now move into the declaration of the Mayor, which you do, just going to move round to the table here to do the declaration. So folk in the forum can see as well, so that might make it a little bit easier. So if we can just move around there, and then the Mayor will be, once the Mayor's done her declaration, we've signed off, and she will lead the declaration for you as councillors, and she'll call you up each one by one, and you'll do the declaration and sign. Okay.
I, Helen Margaret Lash, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the Western District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Mayor of Western District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
Very important part of the
Thank you very much for that. Looking at changes over my shoulders. Kia ora koutou, katoa, welcome everybody. Standing here again as Mayor of Westland is both humbling and deeply meaningful to me. Thank you for the trust our community has placed in this council and for the faith that each of you, my fellow elected members, have shown by stepping forward to serve the communities within the Westland District. Today marks the start of a new chapter for Westland. We inherit a district which has strong foundations and proud people, but also with real challenges ahead. Our task is to meet those challenges with clear thinking, open hearts and minds and teamwork. I would like to see this triennium defined by collaboration across the table, across the district, and with our iwi partners, businesses and volunteers who give Westland its strength. We will listen first, decide carefully and communicate clearly. Each of us brings a different voice and that diversity is our greatest asset. Together we will make decisions that serve the whole district, not just the loudest corner of it. To the staff here at Westland District Council, thank you for your professionalism and the heart you bring to your work. I would also like to acknowledge the staff that are currently working within the Civil Defence team, which has been stood up due to the current weather risks in our region. I thank them for their devotion to our people and our district. To our community, you can expect openness, respect, and an unwavering commitment to the place we all call home. So let's begin this new triennium with purpose and optimism. Let's keep Westland moving forward for Westland, for its people. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you. I would now like to call upon Riley Burden to come forward, please.
I, Riley Burden, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or upon me as Councillor of the Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002 and the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987 and any other act.
And a declaration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Welcome.
Helen. I'd just firstly like to thank the people of the Northern Ward for having that confidence in me to re-elect me and for their support. I'm really lucky that in my day job I'm out and about in the Northern Ward connecting so regularly with those people. So yeah, feel really connected to that Northern Ward community. So yeah, really looking forward to getting back to work for Westland. I think Barb mentioned a lot of projects and things going on in her address, and I think that's a lot of those things I'm looking really forward to supporting and getting stuck into. And you know, I think Barb's right. It is a transformational time. We've got so much going on, and yeah, really looking forward to getting back to work for Westland. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call upon Stephen. Stephen Clett, please come forward. Call your councillor once you've done it.
Yeah. I'm a mere mortal. I, Stephen Gillett, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002 and the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act. going to wing my speech, but I had just too many thoughts going on in my head, so I thought I'd write them down. So this is a typical Councillor Gillett kind of presentation, so hang in there. So I remember standing here 3 years ago to give my inaugural speech as first time councillor, and I think I had quite a bit of angst against the leadership at the time, and I think I wanted to change what I wanted to change and achieve. I think I was pretty naive, I guess, and about the power of councillors, and the public believe we have a lot less than we think. However, there's still plenty we can do. So first I'd like to congratulate and welcome the returning mayor and fellow councillors. We have 3 returning councillors this time and 5 new ones, and I'm actually looking forward to what we can now contribute collectively with some new energy and ideas. I really want everyone to get involved in discussions around the table this time, so don't be shy. Let's get stuck in. At the last election, there was definitely a mood for change. So I was part of that wave that brought in 6 new councillors and a new mayor. I publicly voiced how unpleasant this recent election campaign was. There's been quite a bit of emotion out there, and the outcome of the election still shows that the community isn't overly happy how our council is performing, in my opinion. For me, the key things we need to change going forward are better leadership, openness and transparency, and better communications and engagement. I think the idea that it's going to be business as usual isn't going to wash. So for all of us around the table, and I also include you, Helen, as mayor and leader, we need to listen and change. Around the table, I'd like to have better respect and etiquette. I want far better and high quality reports tabled for councillors to consider. There's too many instances of just really bad information councillors were basing decisions on. I also want to push back on the numerous unnecessary committees that operated. CCO review committee, cycling committee, consent and compliance committee. The worst for me was the wastewater treatment subcommittee. That group has been operating for some years and what it was achieved during that time. To me, it just became a consultant's feast costing thousands. What I want to see going forward is a workflow plan. Collectively, we should identify our priority goals and tasks for the term. We can then sit down and decide what is the best way to complete these tasks, either by way of simply a group sitting down with good coffee for an afternoon, or workshop or working group, committees to me and an application of decision making and excuse to never have to make a decision about anything. Personally, the priorities for me during this term are to kickstart the CCO review process. It's still 2 years ago, and get that completed. There's important issues that are contingent on that, such as the future of pensioner housing and of course the Wild Food Festival. I'm also keen to complete the review of the Wilderness Cycle Trial, something I passed a motion to that effect back in June last year. I think there's major risks and challenges for the trail going forward, and I don't see that the disconnected trail structure is fit for purpose. However, the most important issue for me, and Barb's alluded to, is the long-term plan. We need to get that updated as soon as possible. As Barb said, rates are now at a completely unaffordable level for most of us, and I think it's council's responsibility to address this credibly and with force through the long-term plan. We need far better detail and analysis that was presented to us when we had a look at this earlier in the year. I just don't think it was adequate. But underlying all that, I want council to be, by default, very public inclusive in our workings during this term. Barb and Helen, I know you're concerned about this, but I'm with the Ombudsman and the committee on this. I think we have low trust and credibility of the community, so a far more open, inclusive, and a council that communicates regularly is what I want to support.
And now I'd like to call Brian Monero. No, you have to say it.
I, Brian Monero, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Western District. Powers, authorities, and duties vested in me or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Western District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, and any other act. Thank you.
You want to say anything?
Yeah. No, look, we've been here 3 years, and I think this next year 3 years is going to pay off, and just keep the faith out there. Things will get done. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Ewan Mackenzie to come forward, please. You can speak round.
I, Ewan Mackenzie, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Meetings Act 1987, and any other act.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and congratulations and welcome.
It's an honour and a privilege to stand before you today as I take the role of Northern Ward Councillor for the Western District. I'm deeply aware of the trust the residents have placed in me, and I want to assure you that I take this responsibility seriously. Originally from Scotland, I made New Zealand my home many years ago, spending time in the North Island before settling here on the coast. Through my work at Mackenzie's Real Estate, I've come to know the people, the land and the spirit that make Westland so unique. I've learned that belonging isn't just where you're born, it's about where you choose to invest your energy and your heart. That's what I've done here, and that's what I'll continue doing serving this community. Westland is a special place, its landscapes, its people, its history, but we face real challenges: infrastructure, cost of living, pressures, environmental change, maintaining services for our rural and remote communities. We cannot simply rely on what has always been. We must adapt, look forward, and act with purpose. If you'll allow me, here are the principles I bring to this role. First, I believe in listening. I will come to the council table not just with ideas, but with open ears. Your voices, your concerns, your hopes, they matter. Whether you live in a small rural settlement, work in tourism or farming, or run a business here, I want to hear what you need. Second, I believe in practical action. It's one thing to talk about strategy, it's another to deliver on it. From better roads and water supply to keeping rates fair and ensuring good governance, I will look for options that are realistic, responsible and forward-thinking. Third, I believe in future generations. What we do now must reflect not only our needs now, but theirs tomorrow. That means caring for our environment, supporting our communities, and making decisions that last. And finally, I believe in working together. No one wins alone. This council's role is to bring people, organisations, and communities together to enable better outcomes than any of us could achieve by ourselves. I'm looking forward to working with my fellow councillors and the wider council team to deliver for our community. As I step into this role, I make you this promise. I will give you my energy, my integrity, and my commitment. I will be present, I will be accountable, and I will work hard for Westland. This moment is also deeply personal one for me, as my father passed away in March. And I know he would have been so proud to see me stand here today. His and my mother's values of hard work, fairness, and service to others are ones I carry with me, and they'll continue to guide the way I serve our community. Kia kaha, kia tu, kia ora te marino.
Greg. Sorry ladies, it's not in that kind of order.
That's all right, difficult.
I, Greg Maitland, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as councillor of the Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge my parents and also the support of my wife, son Tim, wife Veronica, and also the support that I received from the voters and the constituents. It means a lot to me. I'm quite passionate about the performance of council, the way council works, and I'm really I also want to congratulate all the other standing people that stood in the election. I think we've got a great team here. When we met on Monday, I think it was a really good fight. I think this is what Western needs, turn the corner. It's pretty obvious that all councils in New Zealand are in the deep, let's put it that way, and it definitely needs change. Otherwise, we're going to hit a brick wall. And for me personally, I think a lot of the problem comes from legislative sort of requirements from the government. I think that's a major thing that has to change. And hopefully the changes in the RMA might actually benefit Westland to make this an easier transition into the future. We're also really looking forward to working with iwi. I think a major part of the direction of the coast now, and I think we should welcome that and really build the benefits of that. Yeah, that's about all really I have to say. I think most people know where I'm coming from, so there's no point in boring you any further. But thanks very much.
And now I'd like to call up Carol, please.
I, Carol Martin, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the interests of the Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as councillor of the Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act. Your Worship, fellow councillors and legal representatives, our Chief Executive, staff and public attendees. I'd like to reaffirm our vision for the council, so bear with me. By investing in our people, caring for the environment, respecting the mana whenua cultural heritage, and enabling investment, growth and development, we will enrich our district and the people that reside here. The Hokitika Board has bestowed a unique and privileged honour on me to represent them. I wasn't talking to you on that. It's a privileged honour to represent them and make decisions on their behalf that will provide benefit for current and future generations. I've been truly humbled by the support I received during the elections and continue to receive from our community. It is an honour that I intend not to take lightly, and I know I have a huge responsibility to perform with integrity, openness and transparency over the next 3 years to progress benefits for Westland generations now and in the future. I thank you for the trust given me to act on your behalf, and I look forward to working effectively with my fellow Westland District Council members and the Westland community. The importance of communication has been highlighted during the election campaign, and that will continue to be a key consideration moving forward through multiple channels. Thank you for this. Thank you,
I, Janelle McMahon, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skills and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of Westland District and the powers authorised and duties which vested in me or imposed upon me as Councillor of Westland District by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, Local Government Office Information and Meetings Act 1987 and other acts.
This is like a sentence as a marriage.
Wow, after being here for a year and a bit on the coast, it's an absolute honour to be standing in front of you all today, and to the Southern Ward for putting me up, giving me the nudge to stand. So I look forward to lots of learning, lots of getting involved, lots of discussion around the table, especially with iwi involved, and really excited to make things happen positively. But thank you all. Thank you.
And now we have Joseph, please. Big sigh.
It's a big job. I, Joseph Walker, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Westland District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of Westland District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act. Cool. I was just going to wing it, but I just decided I was going to write some words because it's a big moment and nerves have gotten better of me. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported me and believed in me in the community. To the other candidates, I've got a lot of respect for people that put their name forward. It's a big job, it's a lot of pressure. I know we're going to have really diverse opinions around the table. I just really hope that we can find common ground, because that's how we're going to achieve things. So, robust debate, sharing ideas respectfully, but I honestly think the key is us just finding those things that we have the crossover. We really need to move our community forward, because there's an appetite for change out there, and that should be our focus. Family, friends, everyone that's helped me along the way, thanks for your patience. I couldn't have done it without you. To the community, I'll do my best to listen, be honest, and stay connected. I see myself as a community advocate. I'll always be open for a chat. If people want to pull me aside, give me any concerns, and I'll bring it to the table. I'm not really here for sort of politics or point scoring. I really am interested in results. I'm hoping that in the next 3 years, we can do what's best for our community. I know there's some big challenges. I don't take them lightly, but if we can work together, I honestly believe we can get some good results. I'm proud to serve. I'm ready to get stuck in. And I just hope the next 3 years are all about progress, pride in our community and the people. But thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you for that. And this is the last piece to this segment. Barb, I ask you to come up as Chief Executive and sign off the Administrative Officer list. Thank you very much. So with that, that concludes the swearing in, the taking of the oath, and welcome everybody. You are now officially councillors of Western District Council. So congratulations and thank you. So what we'll do now is we'll adjourn for 10 minutes and enable some photos to be taken. So you've got Greg, you want to have on with your wife rather than me. So we'll get that done and then we'll come back and resume with our part of the council meeting. So thank you. live currently, so please be aware of that. Any conversations held? Right, welcome everybody to the, well, that was formal, to the other half of today's meeting. We will say that we are doing the meeting at 1:47. Thank you. And we will proceed now with the agenda items. So first on the agenda is the appointment of the Deputy Mayor. The report has been tabled at the council meeting. You will have that in front of you. And the contents, responsibilities, etc. are in there. So really, we can move straight forward with that into resolving that the report be received and that we recognise Councillor Riley Burden as the duly appointed Deputy Mayor of Western District Council. Do I have a movement or a seconder, please, for that resolution? Usual, Councillor Martin, thank you. Councillor Maitland, thank you very much, everybody. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Right, that is your first vote and recording. So thank you, everybody, and thanks, Riley. So next on the agenda, we have the standing orders. Again, we'll take that as read.
So look, just a really brief summary. There's a statutory requirement that standing orders are adopted by our council. Just for your background, so you've got a bit of understanding, the format that is used in these standing orders is consistent undertaken by LGN, so that's so this is what's applied. We will see that there are some options here in the paper. It's because those are the options that make it unique for Western style. So I think people can they'll make their choices as you can see, that's your view as council.
Thank you. So has everybody read the report? Everybody understands the contents? So the recommendation is that the report be received. Sorry, Paul.
Your Worship. I was pleased to hear, Your Worship, that there's mentioned before about the openness of the council going forward. So no better place to start than to have a public forum at council meetings. And I see in the standing orders that that's been scratched out. I think the public forum has a place in council. It's been missing from here for the 6 years I've been on council. That is that's democracy in action, it's the public forum. And currently, council's meetings are very structured, very choreographed, and there's just no place for the public to have a say. But a public forum offers that. I would strongly suggest that we should change the standing orders to
just a comment back on that is that we're talking about two different things. So what we operated under last time was an applicant can ask to speak and provide what they wanted to speak on, and we have done that in the last triennium.
at the means discretion. But a public forum is a different matter.
Yes, it is.
For part of the meeting.
I would reinforce what Paul was trying to say. Allowing ratepayers to vote as to the start of the meeting reflects our commitment to open, transparent, and accountable government. Practical way for us to interact with the community and ensure that people feel their voices are valued in their decision-making process. I'd like to see us consistently allow the 4,000 minutes to public move forward.
I would support the, a public forum at the end of the meetings also.
I also would support it. I think that's a big part of showing a commitment to the community, that we're willing to listen, regardless of something we don't want to hear, and our reply to what we don't want to hear will measure how we stand anyway. So I think it's really important that it is in there because of that reason.
I also agree with the comments of the previous three people that have spoken. I think we've got a huge piece of work to do to rebuild a relationship with the community and allow them to come in and vent their frustrations or have conversations with us is what I think is needed, opening that door and allowing them to come and talk to us. Well, I don't disagree with what everybody's saying. I think probably need to make sure we put in place how that, I mean, like, we'll get everyone from the bloody town in here talking all day and we'll get nothing done. So, well, I agree that they need to be able to share views and come and do that. We just got to figure out how we manage that situation, otherwise it's a few days. That's not a bad thing, but we've got to somehow control that. Control is probably a bad word, sorry, but you know, we don't want to do this for an hour.
No, we don't.
How do we do, so how do we figure that out?
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I know that one thing that swept the change away from that, I'm not talking in the last training, I'm talking training before, the one before that, was the fact that we did have members of the community come in and it became quite aggressive at times. And it certainly changed the mood of the meeting and the discussion point.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of the meeting got stopped.
Yes.
Just how we do it, or keen for it, just how we do it.
How we do it is certainly absolutely critical. Stephen, did you want to?
I just wanted, through your worship, I just wanted some clarity as to why it was removed. Is it because of that aggressive nature of the meetings at times?
It was certainly changed in that triennium as far as, because it was a management role, it was then down to the discretion that if somebody wanted to, they could bring to the meal what they want to talk about. They could be allocated time and it had that control mechanism. We had some meetings where we ended up with a lot of people here and everybody expected to be able to talk, and when they hadn't made contact ahead of the meeting saying they wanted to speak, it got out of control quite quickly. So it was put in as a control mechanism.
So it seems like it's more a management issue. I mean, in line with my feelings about openness, I definitely want to retain that form. I think we should manage it and develop it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Joseph, you were...
Well, I just think, you know, part of what we're trying to do here is regain the trust of the community. We probably need to show some trust in the community and allow them to come in and speak and not base our decision based on some previous bad apples. And as well, I think there is some formula here where it's up to 30 minutes, right? And they get 5 minutes, 6 speakers at 5 minutes apiece. Is that correct?
That's how it would be managed, yes.
So there is some rules around that.
I think, sorry, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Do you want to go first and I'll go after you?
Yeah, I was just, sorry, Madam Chair or Your Worship?
Chair.
Okay. I was just going to say the exact same thing. I think it's in the standing orders that each person gets 5 minutes. So I mean, it's already structured.
I wonder whether, sorry, the Chair, I wonder whether it's worth operating, because my concern is that if we're going to do this, I don't want it to have unintended consequences where people put a lot of names forward to do it, and then how do we ballot them into the 30 minutes? And I think other councils do this. What if we gathered the protocols for that and brought it back, and you folk decide if that's comfortable for you? Because I think there are some fish hooks in this about if I had 20 people apply to come to the 30-minute slot at the next meeting, are you expecting that I filter them, or how do we work that in a fair and equitable way? So just a little bit of caution and that, but I'm happy to gather protocols and bring them back if that's useful for you.
Fine, I'm not ideal.
Yeah, just for the chair, I thought we were voting in to represent the people, so if you get out there, go to your community groups and hear what they've got to say, you should be able to come, bring it back to the table, and won't have to have so many people here, you know. Like, keep it tidy and do the groundwork before we come to these meetings, so people understand what's going on. So, that's how it was, yeah.
Did you still want to? Through the chair, the standing rules is in relation to the council meetings. If we are going to be promoting open communication, etc. down the track, can't a frequency be allocated for outside of the council meeting? So that takes away the chief executive's questions about how it's managed. But have every 3 months or something an open forum where everyone, it's an open forum.
Because the other thing that's with no, just I'm not being disrespectful to this, but being new at the table is that when we get into some of these meetings going forward, annual plan, long-term plan, etc., it's a lot of work. There's a lot of reading to do, and there's a lot to get your head around and manage in there. So sometimes it's probably not potentially right to have a public forum in there that it can sort of break that concentration, that focus that you're going to need to have at the table. And it's very easy to move off into another tangent. I quite like that idea of having a public forum, but we've got to find some ground. I mean, I know that the communications has been a great concern for everybody, and Councillor Manera is quite right. It's a matter of what everybody does out in the community as well, as far as community meetings, etc., and having that discussion with them, talking to Joe Bloggs in the supermarket, the street, or whatever. We can't be afraid. We can't run ourselves because of that narrative that's out there. Yes, we've got to communicate and we've got to find the best way. We've also got to find the best way for us to perform and operate as a council. Sorry,
Your Worship, I think it's about balance here. I think there's certainly we're out there talking to people in the community, but there will be people that want to be heard at a formal level and want to address council as a group. So I think it's about balance, and I think the more we're at it about talking to people, the less people possibly will have coming into the public forum if we're getting their issues dealt with. You know, if we follow them through and getting resolutions for them. But having that forum, I think, is still really important. It's just about how we manage it.
So you're saying you open forum at the meeting, or what councillor?
Either or. I would be supportive of us coming back potentially with some options around how she sees it structured and what would work and how she would manage it.
I know other councils do it. They do have the open agenda items. I'd be interested to see if they do. I mean, there's a difference between an open forum and consultation. So, and I think we're all clear about that. But it would be interesting to see if people do have open forums, who attends on behalf of the council for those, what's the responsibility to take that information back to you folks as council. So I'm happy to have a look and do a cast about, and for the November meeting I'll bring those back and you can pick through and maybe decide what's you, because there might just be a few things that we wouldn't want to miss if we do an open forum and outside of this meeting. How does that get managed? How's the information get gathered and how does it come back? That's the difficulty.
Councillor Glenn, and then I'll come to Councillor McKenzie.
Yeah, just through your worship, just picking up with Councillor Manera's point, if, as he says, we engaged adequately in the community, and the need for the forum, though it might be there, wouldn't be exercised. And if we aren't performing correctly in the community, then we need the forum. So I think it still should be there as a backstop.
Okay. Paul, sorry, he had his hand up before.
Through worship. The talk of openness is all a bit hollow unless we genuinely address it. And so the public forum needs to happen with respect to Councillor Martin. I think every 3 months is just too infrequent. It needs to be more often, and it certainly needs to be managed, but it can be done quite easily. this is not anything new, this is standard practice for most councils. And it used to be standard practice for this council. It was 2 terms ago that it was taken away. And all we're trying to do is bring it back. And 30 minutes set aside at a council meeting once a month isn't too much to ask. And in actual fact, from past experience of the public forum, half the time no one turned up. So I don't think it's going to be a matter of when we talk about 25 people. There will be times when there will be contentious issues that need to be raised, and that's fair enough. At the moment, as I said before, at the moment they don't have it. That's why they're jumping on Facebook.
The other council does have it, but you just contact the council and put it on there, put on that 30 minutes.
I think the important thing is to keep it simple,
Absolutely.
but have structure within it.
Most definitely we need to do it, we're just going to figure out how, and I think that's right, let's see what else.
So the agreement around the table is that for the offering that was here with the remove and replace with public forum, we'll take that back to Chief Executive and she'll come forward next meeting with the options on there, having done the research. So as far as the standing orders go, I would like to take action on SO 13.7, the right to attend audio or audio visual link. The chairperson has a casting vote and then the option for speaking and moving motions. If we can then secure those, please, we'll work through those. At the moment, we'll take the public forum out, but we need to sign off on those other points, please. So if everybody's happy with that, I think we're going to just have repetitive discussion now on the forum. We're all in agreement of what needs to happen, so that will be that for the next meeting. So right to attend by audio or audio visual link, you can see what we've removed and replaced with. It is something that has enabled us to, at committees, have quorums, and also when councillors have been away, it's enabled them to still be attending the council meeting. And something I have discussed with the Chief Executive is that as far as the right to attend by audio visual link, I would like to see us at some stage come back and quantify that by regularity, so that it doesn't enable somebody to attend every meeting by Zoom link. There is the need to be present.
Your worship, is one thing that we have in COVID.
Yes, it is.
So it was more linked to COVID, and at the time there wasn't actually any ability for a council member to present or counted present everyone around Zoom. So that's why this was changed nationally. And it's a good thing. You don't, there are rules around non-attendance currently for councils. We don't want a repeat of the situation of a few years ago where a certain councillor on this council went off overseas and wasn't seen again for about 2 years. I guess that's just again a matter of management by your worship. If a council were to show tendency to attend by Zoom rather than in person. But other than that, it's a great move. All standing orders need to be updated to it.
So as far as the right to attend by audio, is everybody quite comfortable with what's been removed and what's been replaced there?
I'm comfortable with it. I'm just going to clarify, they will be counted as quorum if they're on the, if we replace it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So everybody's quite happy with that one. Chairperson has a casting vote, and that is at my discretion, that decision. And that is the choice that I have taken, which is what I also did last training.
So that was, the mayor doesn't have a casting vote.
It's called a deliberative vote.
Yes, that was my question. Because that was crossed out in here, the chair has a casting vote, and it was replaced by a deliberative vote, which is basically the same thing.
Yes, but what I said last time was that for a lot of this is that if it was equal four ways, to me, that needed to go back for further discussion, as opposed to being in the situation where a casting vote is placed, and we did take some stuff back for further discussion on that.
But yes, Your Worship, however, we were in that situation about 2 times, maybe 3 times in the past triennium. One of those was over the local orders done well. And it came down to the wire. And that was settled by a deliberative vote. I believe it should be settled by consensus. I think that was the intent, rather than a deliberative vote, which is basically council. It's just my view.
Councillor Mackenzie.
Through you, Madam Chair, I want to raise concern about Standing Order 1923, which gives the Mayor both a deliberative and a casting vote. In my view, this arrangement upsets the balance of equality around the council table. Each councillor should have an equal say. The decision should reflect the collective judgment of the elected members, not determined by one person with 2 votes. Casting vote effectively allows the chair to decide an issue twice, once a councillor and again as a tiebreaker, and I believe that undermines the principle of fair and democratic representation. To maintain equality among the members, I move the standing order be amended so that the chair has a deliberative vote only, ensuring all councillors are.
The chair will always support that as well.
I will say that at the end of the day, that decision does sit with me. I can take on all of your concerns. The decision does sit with me. I can certainly take on your concerns and your comments.
Is it not true, Worship? Isn't that part of the standing orders? It has to be approved by the council.
Yes, it does.
So it's part of the standing orders. Does everyone say?
I believe that and I haven't in the past things, but I believe that there are certain items that the Mayor has the call on because it's actually under their remit. I'm happy to check it, but
Yeah, through your worship, I think unless we have that clarified by legal, then I believe it's part of standing orders, and the whole standing orders has to be approved by the whole of council. I reiterate, your worship, that it was used only a couple of occasions in the last triennium, and one of those was over the most controversial matter to come before the council. So there is a reason to find consensus.
What happens if we don't? What happens if we don't get a consensus?
So nothing. There's no change. Just has to go around. We were in that position before.
Madam Chair, you could put an amendment forward.
Sorry, no, interrupted it because there is I take questions as they arise rather than just jumping in, please. Sorry, Councillor Maitland. Oh, sorry, I thought you had your hand up. Sorry, it was.
Your Worship, is there room here for some sort of compromise where there isn't a casting vote unless we have to come to a decision for a statutory requirement on a particular issue? And then on those, on that issue, there might be a casting vote. I thought I read that there's like a middle ground.
Councillor Mackenzie.
Yeah, if we're selecting the options, why were we given the option if we don't have a say at the table? It's your prerogative, and why is it here for us to?
Because it's a change in the wording. So where we've got remove, replace,
yes.
That's coming back to council for receiving the report.
No, that's debate. That's Standing Order 22.1. On 19.3, I moved that the standing order be amended so the chair has its word vote only.
No, you haven't moved. you've passed a comment, you didn't say that you so moved.
I did, I read it out.
Sorry, I did not hear that part of that conversation. Sorry, I did not hear that. So can I ask that people speak up and be very clear with that, please, because we need to be crystal clear if somebody's putting a motion on the table, that is crystal clear, not part of the conversation, it's tabled, for clarity. We will need to go back and check that, because I don't think it works like that as far as the standing orders in this documentation. You can do that now.
Can you go and check through? I just want to see if I can do it before we finish
Yep,
this.
okay.
Problem is we can't really not adopt standard orders.
We're receiving it at this stage. So, Chief Executive is going to check on that. We've already got a change to the public forum. The last item then is the options for speaking and moving motions. Last time the council took option B. Do we have a consensus that we go with option B again this time? Councillor Mackenzie.
So for a small council like ours, option C provides the right balance between flexibility and stability. It allows for councils to bring forward genuine new matters, but it prevents the conditional re-litigation of issues we've already debated and decided on. In a smaller council where the same few people sit around the table month after month, it's particularly important that we avoid circular discussions and consume time and staff resources. Option C keeps our agenda forward focused, ensures consistency and in our decision making, maintains respect for the democratic process once a decision is made and moving on. It's not about shutting down the debate, it's about good governance and efficiency. For that reason, I believe that we adopt option C.
I'd like to have some discussion before we go on to moving. Sorry, Councillor, this is the first meeting. It's important everybody actually understands the process and what these things actually mean and the impact of the decision. So I'm not wanting to shut you down, but it's important that everybody actually understands what these options mean. There's a lot more to what's just written there in detail and impact. So if anybody would like to have a discussion first, please. Yes.
Your Worship, yeah, following on from that, I'm leaning towards supporting option C, but I would love to hear from people that have been around the table before as to why option B was the preferred option last time. Any previous councillors or Stephen Riley?
Option C basically means that you throw in some of the other rules that bind us out the window. So you move, you second, it doesn't fly, you can come back for an amendment to that, but there is a rule further down which says that you can't, no, it's not that you can't speak again, it's, again, we'll need Barb to check this out. It's to do with a follow-up motion on that. But I'll need. We've got standing orders here, but there's a lot of rules in behind this as to what this actually means and why it's there.
I read the structure and I do have a basic understanding of it. I just was more interested in, was there a particular reason why you guys went for option B last time? Was it because debates went on for too long and you had to move the meeting along, or it seems like the more flexible we can make the sharing of ideas, that seems better for everybody.
It's not so much about sharing ideas, this is about the moving of motions.
Yeah.
But it means that you can't put forward a motion and then rewrite the motion. Once the motion's tabled and it's been seconded and it's passed. So you need to understand option A first and foremost and what that is actually referring to and covering. So each option is less formal.
Yeah.
So each option is not holding us to the general rules that are used at meetings.
Yes, but through your worship in the last term and that for that, we were a little easy-ozy really when it came to this. We certainly didn't do it by the book, and it was, so it was, I mean, you could do it by the book and you could become very, very formal and the substantive motion and all that rubbish, but we We did do that, and it was more flexible, and which is what I think is what Councillor Walker is alluding to. So that's how we did operate, and so option B and option C are fairly close.
Yeah, we didn't enforce it.
So you're saying it's almost moot because nobody's really keeping track of it? So maybe, yeah, well, if it isn't enforced, then it's probably just move on.
Yeah. Yes, you need to be careful, though, of course, that if you don't track yourself.
Yeah.
And finally, affirm an option in here that means in the future, no room. Option B, option C.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this because I don't get the vote, so it's okay.
Stephen, you've been here before. What's your sentiment on B or C?
Yes, Your Worship, I agree that in reality, we never actually visited what the requirements were in option B, who seconded, who moved and who amended, and etc. I think it became effectively the default was option C in reality. We never really enforced it. But does that mean we should therefore formalise it by saying we should therefore adopt C anyway because that's how we operated? Because in reality, although we said we're operating under B, we never did. So maybe we should just say, be done with it and go to C.
Well, in essence, we did because all the moving and seconding was agreed to, and there were, I think, we've got about 3 records where I think Councillor Neil was one of them, where they went to then redo the motion, and that was disallowed because of that. But there's a situation that didn't arise very often.
No. But Your Worship, there were many instances where the mover was just invited while you agreed to that motion. And yes, correct. And that was just done informally. Yeah.
Which is C, right? So as far as selecting the option C is the preferred option. I'm just going to go around the table with that. Option C is the preferred option. All right, so we'll go for option C. We're just about selecting options as opposed to motions on this one, Councillor. Yeah, so this is a preferred option which we need to be selected today. Chief Executive hasn't returned, so what we will do, if everybody's happy to, we'll receive the report and we will adopt, I actually don't see the word, we'll adopt SO 13.7, right to attend by audio visual link, and option C of this SO 22.1, options for speaking and moving motions, option C. And we will take the public forums, SO 15 and the SO 193 chairperson's casting vote back and bring them to council at the next meeting. Is everybody quite happy with that?
Chair, could I ask one question about the Zoom meeting? If it's a meeting in confidence, is it still a watch for someone?
Yes, it is. I'm after a mover and a seconder that we can resolve that the report be received and that we accept SO 13.7 and SO 22.1 option C. Do I have a mover and a seconder on that? And with that, public forum and chairperson's casting vote go back out and come to council for a more formal report and correction in the next meeting. Thank you, Councillor Walker. Thank you very much, Councillor Munns. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, everybody, for that. That tidies that up. Code of conduct. Again, it's that the report be received. And then council re-adopt the elected members' code of conduct, including the policy for assessing breaches of the code of conduct as produced by LGNZ. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please, for that? There's the discussion points that anybody would like to have first.
Page 258 in your booklet.
On the agenda.
Standing orders? Code of conduct? Yes, it is.
To the back of the book, page 258. You need someone to move to?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Thank you. Councillor Maitland, seconding it. Thank you.
I was going to say something.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, wait,
That's all right. Yeah, when I read the code of conduct, I felt that it was, in many respects, quite subjective as to who, I see that as someone can be brought in to adjudicate what the thing is. Basically, I thought it was quite open. I think it was more about not naming people or not, basically putting everyone down or putting everyone in sort of the public limelight that didn't deserve to be there. And basically, I felt that it was pretty okay, actually. Okay, comment.
Have you got to second it?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. So it's Councillor Walker in the motion, Councillor Maitland seconding it. All in favour? Yep, okay, carried. Thank you very much, everybody. So we will be re-adopting the code of conduct. Declarations of interest.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Just going back to standing orders, were we meant to kind of accept them today, like option 1 or 2? Like
We did. It's what I.
Subject to amendments?
Yes.
Subject to.
Yes, and we went for option C.
So,
They'll come as reports to council at the next meeting.
okay, so what do we do between now and then if those two aren't agreed?
Well, one is a casting vote and the other one is public forum, so that will wait till the next meeting and it'll be addressed at the next meeting. We cannot pass a motion outside of the meeting. So it's not a matter of sending out an email saying, we've got this information, what do you think? It will be formally brought to the next council meeting.
I just thought, I read something, we had an extraordinary meeting coming up.
No, that's been cancelled.
Okay.
Yep. So the declarations of interest, has everybody seen this? Does everybody understand what it's about?
Mr. Chair, I think there was a reference in here as to if you own property, it should declare that.
No. What you own, this is, so if you've got a business that receives or has worked with tenders from the council or from West Roads, as a society or whatever, that has to be declared. We like to see people's involvements on directors, chairmanships or committees or whatever else. So it just means that there's a record of that for structure, so that if there is a perceived or an actual conflict of interest, that is on the table and that supports that. Better off to be upfront with this rather than try and clarify things afterwards. When, to be subjected to derogatory comments from out there on saying, well, hang on, this person shouldn't have voted on this because they're conflicted with that. We need to know that up front to avoid those situations. So it's very much for your own protection. So if you're not sure, if you've got something and you're not clear on whether it should be on there or not, just ask. Just ask. So you just put in, if you've got 5 directorships and you're the CEO of a company and stuff, just put those on. If you belong to certain community groups, Destination Home Particular, for example, just put that on, committee member, whatever. It's just so it's there. And then it works well. Sorry.
Through the chair. So any other time that something comes up on the agenda that may involve someone with a conflict, then we can notify that prior to the meeting.
Yes. Yes. So if I had airport shares, you know, and the airport was on the agenda and there was some decisions to be made with that, because I've declared it, I won't be partaking in that conversation or any decision making. But if I haven't declared it, and somebody brings it up and says, you've got this, you shouldn't be part of it, it's not a good look for council. So that's why it's preemptive. We know where we are, it's clear for everybody, it's your protection more than anything. Councillor Mackenzie.
Through the chair, as things change in 3 years at this stage.
This is a living document that gets updated as we go.
Yes, but as our conflicts of interest change in 3 years, who do we go to? Do we go to Barbara or yourself? You know, if we declare something.
Just as easy to go to Barb, and she'll put it through to administration, so, yeah.
So it comes through to us, so we can make sure the minutes and registers updated, so it's easier just to send it straight through.
So we can just email you and say, this is a conflict of interest.
And I'll come back to you if I don't understand or I need more information, I'll come back to you.
Great.
Councillor, Paul, sorry.
Through your worship, so there were some blurred lines, of course, for conflicts of interest. For instance, Councillor herself were excluded from the race course development discussions early in the piece, well, the whole way to the piece, because we supposedly had a conflict of interest. Disagree? So there are some blurred lines, always straightforward.
No, it's not always straightforward, but when there are interest shown in something, which I don't know whether you want to go into this here, not particularly, no. Racecourse. No. So, and we've gone through that with the RDA as well, you know, with the council being part of that.
They're quite different. Anyway, I don't want to relitigate that, but I'll just say that there have been occasions when the agreement well, you know, there's a ruling, but I don't really agree.
So your point is?
My point is that, well, my advice to the new councillors would be to declare everything, even in doubt. Even to the extent of family connections that might be working, might have someone working Westeros with, just declare it, just say. Regarding us, that's an issue that we have, but yeah, as I said, I don't want to live it.
Yep. No, that's good. So, and Paul's quite right. Keep it live, keep it active. If in doubt, ask. We'll put it on there. We can take it off. One of our former councillors was on, community groups, 5, 6, 7 of them, and he had them all on there. So if we were discussing Rotary Club or whatever else, that declaration is open, and then it's easy to carry on with business. So, yeah.
Through the chair, sorry, just acknowledging the fact that some folk have done this kind of work. I'd be interested as we progress, if there are topics such as around conflict of interest, about things that people have to, I'm very happy to bring a session into the meeting for you folk with people that are learned in such areas, and you can test with them as well, because I think it's tricky, it does change a bit, and everyone's perception can be a little bit different, but we do have an opportunity to link in with folks that do provide this sort of advice and governance. And if you feel that it's useful, perhaps as we go through the induction process for you, if you feel there are areas where we can all benefit from doing a little bit deeper dive, let's just have that conversation and put on as we roll them through so you folks can get the advantage of it. I'm more than happy to do that.
We'll sign this off and then we'll go back to that. So with the declarations of conflicts of interest, it does have on here that any requests or returns or information can be sent through to Ashley or Natasha or Barb. So what we're after today is the mover and seconder so that we can resolve that the report declarations conflict of interest be received. Thanks. Thank you, Councillor Burden. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mackenzie. Thank you very much. All in favour? Carried. Thank you, everybody. That's that, and now I'll hand back to our Chief Executive, who's going to go back to standing orders, radio.
So I think I can provide you with a way forward. It's just dependent on how you feel about it. So I went and spoke to the policy advisor who is responsible in LGZ for actually the standing orders of the code of conduct and templates and getting the information together. His advice to me was, when I explained to him where we were and what we were thinking about and just try and get some clarity, was that actually it does have to be agreed by council. So the rules around the casting vote, etc., they all have to be agreed by council. That we weren't aware that it was everybody's. I don't think it was everybody's. But interestingly, the clause that we talked about has been debated at length across the country about how people want to deal with it, probably not unexpectedly. But what he did say, which I was not aware of, is that the templates are currently being revised and going to the minister. Now, it is likely that these standing orders and code of conduct which have been revised will come back to councils in February. They will be quite detailed and probably a little prescriptive, but that's to be seen. Hopefully we get into it. The current standing orders stay in place. You don't have to adopt the standing orders and the code of conduct in a different way for this meeting. They can stay in place. My suggestion is that what perhaps might be useful, because there's some good debate around what's comfortable and what's not for you though, is between now and February, we have a couple of these debates on these clauses that are tricky. And we get to a point of, well, when the revised ones come, which we send out to councils to enact in February, that's when we look at that and see whether or not that fits into where we want to go. In your hands, but it just seemed a sensible approach. So standing orders as they are, the last triennium stay in place. They don't change until we adopt a new set. But it's just an alternative option. We didn't have it on the table.
No. Right, Paul.
Through your worship. So with respect to that opinion, it is the opinion of Local Government New Zealand. And there was a reason why they ditched Local Government New Zealand. So I don't know that I'd be beholden entirely to that. I don't know if there are many councils around the country that would say, well, the government may be about to change the legislation in a year's time, so maybe we just suspend and carry on as we are. I don't think so. I think the deliberation of the council should be set on day one, which is what we're doing now.
Through the chair, with respect, I would say that the ability for LGZ, who offered that advice to us, was done in the best of faith. If they tell me from their position in LGZ is done, I don't think that it would be appropriate for me to go, well, we'll put a dollar each way, which is sort of like, I'm not sure I quite believe it. That I don't believe it's appropriate. I asked for advice and I received advice whether we were a member or not. And that's the advice I provided for you as a council.
Councillor McKenzie.
Madam Chair, as I read the standing orders, the council can change them at any point in the future. So we're here today to talk about adopting the options put forward to us, and my rationale would be to carry on and conclude that today.
Yes. Is there anything, so regarding this situation, is there anything further that councillors would like brought back to the next meeting for clarification? Or is everybody happy to move on what is in front of us?
Is that compromise that I suggested, is that one of the options where, they get a casting vote on decisions that have statutory consequences? Or is it either you do or you don't? Well, I thought I read there was 3 options. For the chair to have a casting vote. They do, or they don't, or I thought there was a clause where they could have a casting vote when there's a statutory requirement.
I know you need to vote. I presume, if you wish, you could reword the second one to say that, and then adopt it, and that's included and adopted in that sense, and that would be long, and you would have to universally agree with it. So, because I think that's what you're saying about it. I'm not misunderstanding. People aren't happy with the casting vote approach, and they don't seem to be happy with the fact that the wording currently says that there's a deliberative vote, and then you can have a casting vote. So neither options at the moment, there seems to be an appetite for in its current wording. Is that correct? So in that case, if you wanted to change the wording, which I think is what you're saying, is that you would put an add-on to that, but only in the event of a statutory requirement needing to be met.
It's just a suggestion to the council.
But if you wanted to put that to the folk around the table, then and everyone agreed, that would be the clause.
This might be a gap.
I'm just going to flag it. If we're going to get a revised on February, we may have to redo it all over again in February. But that all being said, that if that would give people more comfort, then perhaps that's a better approach to adopt it. As we said, there's a view that you want to pass this today, then we get to the point where you do this.
Madam Chair, if Joseph's moving for his proposition, I would second it.
Is there a view around the table that you would want anything different? I know it's very difficult, but if that seems to get you across the line, in the sense that the only time it can be used is if there's a statutory requirement, does anyone have an allergic reaction to that? Or if it's been moved and you wanted to vote on it, then that would be what we would put through as a clause. Yeah?
Yeah, I struggle to understand why we wouldn't expect to meet it. It's going to be around that.
So, that being said, if we do the wording and read it out, and then we've done the move and the second, it's clean. Is that right? Should I do that?
You've got that.
Sorry, Justin.
Are we talking about doing that today, or are we doing that? Okay.
Yeah, and then, because I think just what we're hearing is that Paul's saying, look, I really want to get these, we should adopt them on day one, it's really important, and I think you seem to agree with that. So we need to get to a position where we're all comfortable, that you can vote and say, yes, I'm comfortable with that, and it goes through. And that's clauses. So if I read the clause.
We need to rescind the current motion.
We received the report with amendments.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've already.
We have to undo that.
Sorry.
It wasn't a motion, it was a receiving the report.
With those two.
Report we received for those 2 amendments. Councillor Burden, you're happy to move that that is rescinded? Acceptance of that report is rescinded with those amendments? Lucy? Yes. Do I have a seconder on that? So that's rescinding that acceptance of the report with the amendments noted. Councillor Walker, thank you. So everybody, everybody in agreement with that? Yep. And then we will move now to the amendments that go with this.
It's option C in motion. In practice.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, please. Right, do you want to take care of the wording, Barb? Yeah, wait, just, sorry.
We've sorted out one issue. Have we sorted out the
I'm just going to
public
say,
forum issue?
sorry. I'm sorry that I wasn't in the room. I'm sorry that I haven't looked at the process you've done. My understanding is that you have got to look at the amendments, which was SO 15 public forums, which in my mind, we agreed that I would come back at that next meeting with protocols from other councils to give you clarity about what you would prefer, which would then be adopted into the standing order at that time. Is that, people's understanding? Yes, great. We then go right to attend by audio or audio visual link, which is standing order 13.7, and I believe that that went through without too much issue. We then go to standing order 19.3, which Chairperson has a casting vote, which we have been debating. And the question is, at the moment, if we put the wording for standing order 19.3, is that it would read as the mayor, chairperson, or any other person presiding at a meeting has a deliberative vote, and in the case of an equality of votes, has a casting vote, but only in the event to meet a statutory requirement. And are people content with that? Not seeing any disagreement down the table?
I'm content with it. I just would love to hear if anyone isn't, they're not saying anything. But it doesn't seem that's happening.
No. Which then, in that case, which then leads us to standing order 22.1, options for speaking and moving motions, and I believe you agree with that, but I'm not sure.
Option C.
Option C. Okay, so that cleans up the amendment. This one here.
Except for the forum, public forum.
And the public forum will get treated separately but come back. And we'll talk about that.
Right, so we go back to the receiving and resolving the report we received with one amendment, which is SO 15 public forum to come back as a full report to the next meeting. Do I have a mover for a second on that, please? Councillor Mather, thank you very much. Councillor Walker? All in favour? Right, thank you, agreed. So one amendment to that one, you've got that? Yep, okay, you've got the amendment. Okay. Barb, I'll hand back to you now with legislation affecting members.
Sorry. So what we've done here is provide you with the draft of relevant legislation that we are bound by as a council. It is not the full legislation. We haven't tried to do any of this report. We've pulled out the summary versions of what is particularly relevant, but with an expectation that people need to make themselves aware of the entirety of the acts as they go forward. Obviously, we have provided the information in electronic processes for the standing orders, code of conduct, decision-making, engagement and consultation processes. But essentially, these were the key areas that we believe have been undertaken in the last triennium for councillors to be aware of, particularly aware of, and they've been highlighted, and they've been summarised here from the Act. So they are taken from the Acts verbatim, but they are not the complete. Which then asks that you are happy to receive the report highlighting these areas in terms of that there may be difficulty if the option is not, option 1 is to receive the report is not undertaken, then there are some issues should something happen in the future that is untoward and you weren't made aware of a particular legislation in the issues. Highlighting and acknowledging as a wider act, it could be a problem. So that's the purpose of why we make this.
Right. I move into a second, please, resolve that the legislation affecting members' report be received. Councillor Bennett, second, please. Councillor McKenzie, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Next, committee representative members' remuneration.
So The vote just to reduce the read the report, but essentially this is a process that is asked of councils to provide from the Remuneration Authority. They provide you with a minimum base of what they believe councillors pay should be allocated across councils based on populations, etc. We have provided that for you, as written with the mayor around it. I would say to you that the remuneration pool, we propose, if it is agreed today that you believe that this is the appropriate remuneration levels, we then put it back to the remuneration authority for approval. Just because we agree, it does not mean that it is so. It has to go to the remuneration authority for final sign off, and then comes back to us for that. We are unable, just in case anyone wanted to know, we are unable to use this money for any other purpose than for the remuneration of the council. So this is not your decision about how we got here. I realise it's quite difficult and complex meeting. This is done by the remuneration authority. And they're very clear. We can't use the money for anything else. And we have to get what we propose going back. So you're being asked to look at that remuneration, and if you agree that, the authority to say this.
And the expectation is also that the whole pool is utilised.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't roll forward, and we can't redirect it. That's got to be used.
Councillor Gillette?
Through your worship, so can we just, I don't see any real problem here. There was an issue last time, and it was because there was no clarity as to how these numbers were derived. So just so that we don't go down that path again, how did you come up with the councillor remuneration from the pool and the deputies? What methodology did you use?
With that, I looked at responsibilities, representation, expectations, and with the expectation of a deputy mayor, it's not just a community uptake as far as meetings, representation, or anything else. There is an expectation of representation. There's also an expectation on committees, work groups, work streams, and taking ownership of some of those as well, and leading some of those. So as the mayor, I have to be on every committee, but I don't want to be chairing or managing every working group and committee, and I can make that call and put people in those positions. So there is the expectation for a deputy mayor to take more of a leadership role in certain things, and we had that in the last training where instances such as the TTPP, which is the TD One District Plan, the deputy sat on there with me because it was vital that he went through that whole process and understood the mechanisms of that plan, and also with the decision-making process. There's also, while it's not in the deputy's region, South Westland, there's also the expectation, because I chair Friends Joseph, the River Committee, Joint River Committee, and the Future Friends Project, while he is not expected to be there, there will be times when I can't be here, but he will be expected to chair, to step up and carry on some of the out of them as well. So I voted accordingly with that. The councillor's remuneration has gone up considerably from last time as well. And that's where I came to that decision.
I haven't done the analysis, so I apologise, but I guess the total pool has increased by some percentage, and that's reflected by a percentage increase correspondingly with perhaps what's going on with the councils. I guess the deputy's gone up a little bit, but like I say, I'm not very concerned as long as it's out in the open and everyone understands that the pool is allocated, and then it's up to the council how we divvy it up. And if we don't like it, we can alter it now or later, but as long as everyone's aware, I don't see too many problems from what
So is there any other comments or questions or clarification required around that report? everybody's quite happy with that. We resolve that the council receives a report and that council advises the remuneration authority of the changes to the committee structure and the proposed allocation of the remuneration pool. I've moved to sector, please. Councillor Clare, thank you very much. Councillor Munns, thank you very much. All in favour? Carried. Thank you everybody for that one. And then now we're on to the annual report adoption process.
Thank you. So the annual report process, the reason why this is verbal is because we have intended to provide, as required by the Local Government Act 2002, the annual reports are adopted within 4 months at the end of the financial year. This is obviously the 24-25 annual report, so some of you folk weren't even here around that period. But what has happened is that there's been difficulty in terms of the timing of the local elections and also the ability to do the reviews. And while staff, both within the agency and the staff, are working really hard to try and make sure that the report is ready to go through the auditable process. It's quite a complex process for the audit review, as you would expect. We're not going to make the date of the 30th of October 2025. It will mean that we'll be looking to adopt on the 27th of November. So we're a month out, but it was just the timing couldn't have been worse in terms of the meeting and everything else that happened. What that means, so you know, what there's no financial consequences as a result of that, though technically we are a breach of the Act. There will be a comment from the Auditor General who will reference Westland District Council did not meet its requirement by the 30th of October, and there will be a note or a sentence that goes into the annual report when it is published that will explain that it is what the reasoning was for the delay. It's a month delay, so that will enable the auditor review to happen. So I was hoping that today's would be the verbal saying that we're all on track. I'm going to have the report to you as quickly as I can once the audit is cleared, so you can read it ahead of the 30th of October. It's a somewhat rushed process usually, but we're not able to do it this year, so we're going to be just a month behind. So I thought best that we put it on the table now, so you know, and then we'll manage through for the next process of the auditors. The auditors have been excellent. The distributor staff have been working hard. It's just a process. Any questions? Is there anything more interested in?
Sorry, so your meeting's cancelled. What about the appointment for Westroads? Is that?
That will follow on to the 27th. We'll push
Okay.
it on to the 27th. It's more appropriate to keep it in the week. Well, that would be best.
Right, so that was just a verbal update that doesn't need to be signed off or received. So we will then move on to the proposed meeting schedule for the remainder of 2025. And I would just like to point out that in the assessment of options, option 1, where it has council would meet 3 times before the end of 2025, with the removal of that extraordinary meeting that means we'll be meeting 2 times before the end of 2025. Yes, extraordinary meetings. So it's pretty straightforward with that, but that doesn't include any potential workshops that.
No, that would be.
Plans.
This is just the framework.
The meetings, council, formal council meetings.
And hopefully folk can now diarise those forward. Because
So is everybody quite happy with that? So, sorry, Paul.
Maybe a little bit early, but we found ourselves in a position last week with our time between drinks, between the December meeting and the next meeting is not until February, I believe, and we wanted to avoid that in the future. So that's the next one that we need to schedule, we'll just flag it, that's all, but yes, that was an issue.
Yes. And we were under a different chief executive at that time too. So yes, point noted, thank you. Yeah, so that will come to us at the next meeting. So we'll see the schedule going forward. So the report's been tabled. I am just for moving second, please, and resolve that the report be received and that council adopts the scheduled meetings for the remainder of 2025 as follows. 27 November, ordinary council meeting at 1 p.m. 18th of December, ordinary council meeting at 1 p.m. I have a move and a second, please. Councillor Burden, thank you very much. Councillor Maitland, all in favour? Carried, thank you, everybody. So with that, I will declare the meeting closed at 2:57 p.m. and thank everybody for their time and first meeting. And now being official councillors. So what we will be doing now is having our official council photo. Collectively, that's everybody. So if everybody's there, the meeting's now closed and we will move to the photos. Anita's going to take the photos.